Hello and welcome, this is rooflemonger. So the Guilty Gear Strive beta has now officially wrapped up, and I thought I would give my opinions on just the experience as a whole. Both the gameplay of Guilty Gear Strive, which overall I'm definitely a fan of, and some of the beta specific experiences as well, which maybe I'm a little bit less of a fan of. So I want to talk about the game itself, I want to talk about the UI, because a lot of people are very divisive on the UI, and the lobby system. The lobby system, definitely not a peak. So you know what, let's just start with that and we'll work our way forwards. So if you did not get to play the beta, this is indeed the lobby. This is a character creation at the lobby you're looking at right now, which I guess this is probably my favorite part of the lobby experience, picking your weird little guy, right? But yeah, so the whole thing is this 2D pixel art castle of which you roam around and challenge other people. You have to give yourself a weapon, and you can only challenge other people who also have their weapon out, and then it tries to matchmake you, except that was kind of the problem. I played the beta for every portion it was up, and only on the final day on Sunday was there any amount of stability or reliability on this. And on the first day, on Friday night, oh my god, it was the nicest thing I could say is it was complete trash fire. The thing was crashing. I had 5 hard crashes on my first day, like booting me back to the PlayStation 4 menu, let alone the fact that matchmaking was incredibly hard. The first night, I only had 2 matches for the duration of the beta till I just finally gave up. Once again, it got smoother, it got better as the days went on, but yeah, it was rough. Now, as for the cosmetics of the lobby, it's cute, I guess, but I'm certainly not a fan. I hope they do a more traditional lobby, and honestly, really, what I really want, give me normal matchmaking, right? Don't make me waste my time in a lobby. I much prefer just to do normal matchmaking than the lobby stuff. I know some people might like the lobby stuff, but for me, personally, I can live without it, right? But yeah, overall, the experience was definitely bad. Now, this doesn't reflect on the gameplay, but the lobby stuff, didn't like it one bit. Now, as for the UI, the user interface, certain things I'm going to assume are placeholder, like this, the character select screen. Compared to more classic character select screens the Guilty Gear series have had, this is definitely a bit off. Now, I do like the idea of like showing ease of use and showing what the character's nominally good at, like what ranges and all that kind of stuff. But it is a bit basic considering what I expect out of the franchise, and thus I just assume it's a placeholder. It's just waiting to be replaced with a better model. So I don't really have too much problem with this specifically. Now, as for the UI in the middle of a fight, there are things I like and things I don't like about it. One right there, the counter mechanic. Actually, I don't mind that. That one I think is kind of decent. I think that's really good for spectators as well, especially people who are newer to fighting games, to know, hey, this is a big event, this counter hit's kind of a big deal, so this is why the screen is stopped for a second. I know some people aren't as into that, but for me, I like it. Also, what I do like is the tension bars, the super meter at the bottom there. There's a lot of opacity, a lot of transparency, so it kind of just blends into the background pretty good, and it only really shows itself when, hey, you got at least 50% so you can do something with it, right? If you want to roam and do a super, then you'll get that nice little green flash, hey, okay, now pay attention to me. And otherwise, it's just a bit in the background. That I do appreciate. Now, as for what I like a little bit less is the positioning of the little player icon here, because this is where you get your burst and risk information from, and it keeps moving. And when you only have a couple fractions of a second to check up on the info before you got to move back to the match itself, the fact that it keeps moving is very annoying. Not the least of which, on the fact it keeps moving, is I find the icons a bit small. The burst is alright, but the risk is, it could stand to be a lot better. The whole thing could be rethought, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Now, once again, I do believe a lot of these elements are not final, but still, it could be better. And as for the hearts as the round icons, I'm kind of ambivalent. I didn't like it at first, but I realized in the end, they just the round icons. They are what they need to be. Could it be better? Yes, I guess, but it's not the big deal. Like, to me, the burst and risk gauge constantly moving, that is a big deal, and that absolutely does have to change. Now, as for just the game itself, right? That's kind of the big deal in the end, right? So just to give a point of reference, my experience with the Guilty Gear franchise is more old school. I'm talking like Guilty Gear X2 Reload, that kind of stuff. For Exard, I just kind of bounced off it. Like, when it came out, didn't have any of the characters I liked. I played Bridget and I played Viken. They weren't in the game at launch. And the online experience was not ideal, to say the least. So I just kind of bounced Exard real hard. Like, it wasn't a game for me. So I'm treating this as the new game it is, without having any big hang-ups over what previous games had, especially with the previous games being mostly the Exard series for recent memory. So with all that said, hey, I like it. I like what I've been playing so far. I've been playing a lot of Potemkin, so my game experience is probably just a little bit different than everyone else's, because, you know, Potemkin plays by a very different rule set. Like, I know some people don't like the new instant air dash, and Potemkin can't run or instant air dash at all, so hasn't really affected me too much. That said, it hasn't really seemed to inhibit offense in any real way, so I'm fine with it, honestly. I'm okay with that as it stands. One thing I see people talking a lot about is the very high damage. And I'm going to say this right now, I am a huge fan of high damage in any fighting game, right? High damage is a lot better than any comeback mechanic as far as I'm concerned. But you got to realize too, a lot of the high damage, as you've seen right here, that was a lot of chunk of damage right there in the video, right? But a lot of high damage is kind of a lie because of the gut system. In Guilty Gear, traditionally, when your health gets very low, you start taking exponentially less damage, like way less damage, right? It doesn't seem to be as pronounced as Exard, but still, you take a lot less damage, so a lot of the damage is front-loaded. What might look like a 60% damage combo up front might turn into like a 30% damage combo once the health gets lower, so just keep that in mind. That said, once again, thumbs up to high damage, love it. A lot of the classic mechanics kind of work the same as they ever did. Like, tension still builds the way it normally did, at least the way to the best of my remembrance anyways. And burst seems to work the same way it always did with a regular burst. Gold burst is still a thing, so those are fine. Classic mechanics, and I'm happy they're mostly unchanged. There is the differential with how the Gatling system works, like the combo system is kind of different than how the average anime fighter does it. As lights no longer chain into mediums. Lights basically are their own thing, kind of separated off from everything else, right? You can still go medium into heavy, or should I say slash into heavy slash. I just prefer saying like medium heavy. It's easier for me, whatever. Okay. But yeah, so you can still do mediums and chaining in the heavies and all that kind of stuff. That still works. But yeah, there's no more just start with a jab and Gatling your way up to your heavy, right? It would seem to be the developer's intention is no big combos off jabs. Like, you can still get a little reward, and the bigger, depending on the character you are, I guess. But if you want the big stuff, you have to take the bigger risk hitting the bigger button, which is obviously slower and can lose out to a smaller, faster button, right? That seems to be the developer's intention. And with that in mind, I don't know. I guess I'm ambivalent. I don't feel too strongly one way or another. I'd have to play a lot more to get the feel for it. I know some people are really not too happy about it. For me, it's a wait and see. It didn't bug me too much, but as it stood, I can see why some people would have some issue with it. Now, one thing I absolutely love is the change to the Roman cancel system here, the new slide RCs. So the Roman cancel system's always been one of the best things about Guilty Gear, and you know, has in ways kind of mutated in other games, like the burst system in Dragon Ball FighterZ, very similar to it, right? In some ways, anyways. But yeah, the new slide RC, so you can Roman cancel and then pick a direction. So you can go backwards, forwards, upwards, down, whatever, and just go from there, right? And I think there's going to be so much potential. Like, I figured out some baby combos with it already, and that was pretty cool, especially for a character like Potemkin who can't run, right? So he needs the slide RCs just to do basic combos, which is, you know, that's a big help to him for sure, right? And there's going to be so much potential with like gimmicks and left-right stuff. You knock the enemy down, then you can do slide RC, then like cross up one way or the other. And of course you can use slide RCs in like a way like you would a yellow Roman cancel in Exard, where you can just do your projectile, slide forward, run forward ahead of the projectile, that kind of stuff, right? I think it's going to be one of the biggest defining features of the game, 100%. The only gripe I have is not the mechanic itself, it's just sometimes while playing it seemed a little difficult to pull off. My understanding is it's just, you know, you double tap the direction you want to slide in, then you hit your Roman cancel macro or button or whatever you got it set to, right? And just a lot of time it wouldn't work correctly for me. Now, I don't know if it's a beta issue or that's a me issue screwing up or something, I don't know, but still, just to mention it. But yeah, slide RCs are amazing. So yeah, overall, I just gotta say, I was pretty impressed. Like the lobby part of the beta, the matchmaking part, that was very frustrating, I'm not gonna lie. But once I actually got into the game, it was fun. And as far as the netcode goes, now, just so you know, the game will have proper rollback netcode at launch. This was delay-based. But as far as it went, honestly, when it worked, it kind of worked. And now that they're going for rollback netcode, when the game actually comes out, I'm just all the more excited yet. So hopefully the lobby stuff, that can just get a complete rework and all that in the matchmaking. Give just proper matchmaking where you can just match up with an opponent. Don't have to force me to go fight an avatar or something. But yeah, just a couple gripes in the end, but overall the gameplay I had a lot of fun with, and that's the most important thing in the end, and I'm looking very much forward to the full launch of the game. So overall, I would say definitely a positive experience, the gameplay being the chief thing, and hopefully some stuff like the lobby stuff can be fixed in the end. And right now, what I want to know is, hey, if you were in the beta yourself, or heck, if you watched a lot of the beta and you get to play yourself, let me know your thoughts, right? Arxis hopefully is watching some way, somehow. And hey, if you got in the beta, fill out your surveys for sure. It's a pretty detailed survey, and there's a lot going on. So fill it out, because that's going to be one of the best ways to let Arc System Works know what you liked or you didn't like about the game. But anyways, my friends, that's it for me. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well. Go out and play some Guilty Gear.